Hello, this is Alex with the Hobbytown HobbyPlex here for another fine edition of our HobbyPlex After Hours. And after a very busy, long day today, I've decided that I'm going to finally fix our Arrma granite and hopefully our Arrma Outcast that we used for the house jump. And my son has found ways to break the granite, so they're technically not ours. So the whole idea was that I didn't want them to get broken, but the Outcast, we knew we were going to break that. But this little brushless granite has taken a huge beating, but we bent the shock shaft a couple weeks ago, and I just have not had a chance to get on it and fix it. So you can see right there that it doesn't really work that well. So we're gonna repair it. I'll show you guys what an Arrma shock looks like if you've never seen one, and kind of go from there. I got some UCI mountain biking up on the TV that I get to watch while I'm doing this, so I got it turned down. And my son and I went out to Platte River State Park on Monday, and I got talked into doing a very short drop, and I haven't been able to do any, or wanted to do any of that stuff since I hurt myself a couple years ago. And I looked at the video, and I just could not believe how bad a form I have on my bike. So now I want to like ride even more, fix it, get better. So Cole's here. How's it going, Cole? Cole came in and got some stuff today. I'm pretty sure that's him. Our crawler section is the only thing missing now from our crawler section at the moment is the CR12 from Team Associated. We have everything else in stock. So once again, the HobbyPlex has a pretty good selection, and I am almost done with my new section out on the course. And when that happens, I am going to make a video on all the different things that we have out there. But I'm building this bridge, and I just got to actually cut some planks and string them all together with chain and make this new crawler bridge, and that'll link just about everything up, and it's going to be awesome. But yeah, the UMG 10 didn't sell very well. So when we did finally sell one, I don't think we ordered that back in. So I guess that is missing from our stuff. But it took forever to sell that UMG, that Unimog. I don't know why. I mean, it's just an SCX-10 2. It's as good as everything else, but I don't know. It took a while. Serena's back on here. Nate Will's on here. We should have some Moverossi plugs over there. I can't remember if there's 7s or 6s. I think we've got both. But even then, on my Nova that I had, I would always put a P3 or P4 in there. The only problem with that is once you screw one of those OS plugs in there, you can't use any other plug. So because the threading's slightly different. I don't know if that's changed since I've last had a Novorossi engine, but I would pretty much always use a OS plug. But then again, I'm a new engineer, so maybe I'm wrong. But that's what I always did, and it seemed to work fine. Josh is on here. We've got, as of Wednesday, we were full for Saturday's racing program, so that's pretty exciting. We're going to have a stacked house again, probably another 60 entries, and I'm looking forward to that. I think Josh is one of them. Some more Des Moines guys coming over again. We got some Sioux Falls guys coming up. We even have a Hutch guy coming up from Hutchinson, Kansas. So I'm definitely going to make a video about racing this weekend. And then Sunday night, we start working on the track. So you guys that are used to getting updates on all the racing we do, whether it be carpet or dirt, I am going to put together a string of videos throughout the track build as we're making progress on it. So should be really good. I think I'm even going to try to do like not necessarily like a how-to, but maybe something very similar to that on how I go about making jumps and shaping jumps and what I'm trying to achieve by each jump and each section. I might do something like that too. So I'm looking forward to that. Emerson's going to help me with that. We were thinking about trying to do some time-lapse stuff too with the GoPro, so we'll see what happens with that. I've never done that before. Let's get this shock off, shall we? So this was a demo that Arrma had given us for the Armageddon, and Emerson just beat the crap out of this thing. So not only did the shock bend, but it also was leaking oil well before that. So whatever. Everything else looks fine. The arm looks good. He already broke an arm, so we put RPM arms on it. Yeah, everything else looks fine. So we won't get too crazy with the granite because it was a free truck and it's a beat 'em up truck. So I'm not going to worry too much about like making sure all the bubbles and stuff are gone or anything like that. We're just going to fix it and kind of move on. So Arrma shocks are quite a bit different. They actually use kind of like the old Losi cars. It's basically a shock cartridge from the bottom up, and the shock shaft, if you ever bend one, you have to take the whole shock apart and take the piston off and put the piston on the new shock shaft. So it's kind of tedious, but it's not a terrible design. But if you're used to like Traxxas shocks and stuff, it is quite a bit different. It kind of throws people off. They think that this is a shock cap, and it's not. So, ew. I might go spray some Simple Green on that. The crappy part about granite shocks, you can see, look at that thing, is that to get the cartridge to untwist, I believe they make a tool for it, but if you don't have one, you can basically just use pliers. So this is going to be hard to show. It doesn't have C-clips, but it is like it's got these two little grooves in it, and you're not going to be able to see it. Well, maybe right there. And what you can do is you can take just a regular everyday pair of pliers, and you kind of got to keep them open and catch those two little grooves, and then it's a lot easier. I'll have to slide a wrench in here like so. So then there you go. And once you start it, you can kind of grab your fingers on that right there. I'll take it out some more. There, now you can really see it. And then you just unscrew it. And there it is. So basically this is this is the same thing as a shock cartridge. If any of you guys ever built Losi shocks pre 22 days from the old Triple X, you also built shocks with Losi cars this way too, where you had the shock cartridge, and that's your piston, and that's your little nut holding the piston on. So I'm going to grab a rag. And get that off of there. And inside of the shock cartridge, you'll find your O-rings that seal the shock. You know, it'll keep the oil in it. And we need, I think it's a 5.0. Yeah, shoot, smaller. There we go, that'll work. So we'll unscrew that. There's our piston, the little washer on the bottom. And we'll need to take the cartridge off, which it's bent, so that usually is fine. Sometimes can be a little issue. And then the other thing too is if you're like me and you didn't buy them, don't forget, if you need to replace it, to take this little bushing out of here. I don't have any more. Luckily, I have the handy shock shaft pliers, which every good RC person should have. In this case, I've got the ProTech RC shock shaft pliers, and it's got this nifty little part right here that pokes these little bushings out of there. We sell these at the Plex, and you can see there it is right there. So this is junk. Goes into the trash. And we'll plunk it back in here. So I'm hoping here real soon that I was supposed to take my vacation May 6th through like the 14th or something like that, and I was going to take Emerson to Bentonville, Arkansas, to ride on their mountain bike trails down there. They have this. It's basically they have like a whole bunch of mountain bike trails and stuff. A lot of drops and jumps, which Emerson loves. A lot of single track, which I love. And with as busy as we've been at work, and with all the COVID stuff going on, all the restrictions, I did not take my vacation yet. So I'm watching these mountain bike vids, Jones and to go somewhere, and hopefully we'll be able to go check that place out here at some point. So I could rebuild this little guy. So this right here is basically just a little cap that's holding in the O-rings and stuff, but it's a granite, so I'm not going to do it. We should do this right. So little dab of shock oil on the end, and we'll poke him back through. The shock oil just prevents it from scarring the O-rings. If this were a race car, that'd be hugely important, but huge. But it's not a race car, so whatever. And then where did we put that filthy shock body at? Where did it go? My brain hurts. Oh, there was oil in it. That's why. Okay. So we're going to get rid of the oil. The old oil. And again, if this were a different car, I'd probably spray this out with motor spray or something like that. But to granite, so not too worried about it. We'll clean off the shock body and the spring just to save my fingers from getting all crappy. And this guy, this multi-tool that TLR makes is pretty handy. Fits in the toolbox. It's like $9. Okay, so now get our rag out here and grab some shock oil. I'm just going to fill it with shock oil. I don't use very much because it's a granite. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill it basically all the way up to the threads, just a little bit past the threads. So it'll be next to impossible to show you guys this on camera, but the threads for the cartridge are about as equal down here into that body. And so what we're going to do is just fill it up, just not all the way up to the top, but just up to where, just past where the threads start on the inside here. So take a look here. So I don't know if you guys can. Yeah, the light sucks. So anyways, you get the gist. So basically I filled it up to where just above where the threads would be here. And I skipped a step. So we're going to put this back in here. Put the piston on because I'm dumb and I forgot. All right, so the cartridge goes on, and make sure to put the cartridge going up so it screws in. And then we'll do this. Mr. from Montreal, Canada. Nice. Canada is just a neat country. I've been to Canada one time, and it was we were at some lake in northern Minnesota, and my dad's like, "Hey kids, you want to go to Canada?" And then we crossed the border, and we were like a half hour, and then we came back just so we could say we've been to Canada. That's my lame Canada story. All right. So we're going to tighten this piston back on. Yeah, our store had 3 infractions in last week, and they're all gone. We sold them all during the course of the week. So they're a hot commodity right now. Had them and gone like that. And then actually yesterday we sold a Limitless, and we actually had all the electronics for the Limitless. We got in some Hobby Wing stuff to make the Limitless go fast. So it's been good. How much are servo horns? It depends which one you get, but most metal geared servo horns that we carry run from $10 to $15. It just depends on the brand. Is it my question for Mr. Is that for like drag racing purposes, or just so you can just have something that goes super duper fast? Oh yeah, that's right. Cole was one of the ones that brought the infraction. I totally spaced that. So Yeah, actually, that was last week. He bought one of the three. So what I'm going to do is now that I filled it up, as I twist it in, oil's going to come out, and that's fine. And then we're just going to pump it a few times and make sure that it isn't getting stuck. And if it does, we'll have to unscrew it and make sure that it's got enough movement. If it has too much oil, it won't, or too much air, one of the two, it won't work right. So. Oh yeah. Whoa. Okay. So that's good. So we're going to seal this up. So basically the same thing that we took to take this off, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab a pair of pliers and just kind of twist it one last time here. So I'm going to grab this guy, take my pliers, and give it one little last snug fit. And hopefully should not leak anything after that. There we go. Oh yeah. So there you go, no leakage. So there you go. Good for that. Peter, so okay, so I love my bike, right? So I have the Salsa bike and I love my bike, but I know very little about bikes. My son knows more than I do. I'm the guy that goes to the, like, buys his bike, beats the crap out of it, and then goes to the bike shop and say, "Hey, can you guys fix this?" And then they fix it. So basically, I'm the version of me. I'm the version that comes into our store with an RC car and says, "I beat the crap out of this. I need you guys to fix it." But I'm that guy with bikes. So I actually have a full squish. So mine's full suspension. My Salsa. My son right now has a hardtail, and he's got a Trek. And we bought my wife. Well, my wife bought herself a specialized pivot, but she doesn't ride it. So my son kind of took it over because he's grown up into it a little bit. So yeah, I don't know enough to say whether I would even look at a different fork or not. I'd probably buy a new bike before if I did that. So I just ride them until they break, and then I go take them to the bike shop. The guys at Bike Masters know me very well from that. Yeah, well, and that's so my son is actually he's actually done maintenance on our stuff, and I would love to learn how to do that stuff. And what have I done? So I've cut my front bars before, and I've like messed with my seat before, and I got a pipe cutter and cut the seat thing and all that. But other than that, I haven't done a whole lot. But my son has taken apart his entire bike, and he's actually like he was actually able to like tune his gears and stuff like that. And my son's 13 years old. Most of what he's learned from Fate or from YouTube. So I know I need to start doing some stuff on my own. But honestly, I don't have a lot of time. I have one day off from work. I work 6 days a week and have been for the last 15 years. And all the stuff that I do at the building the crawler course, working on the dirt track, and then in between that, I have to maintenance my own stuff, you know, my cars and stuff. So it's tough. mountain biking for me is like one of those hobbies that I really enjoy doing. I just don't enjoy working on them. So that's all. I know that sounds pretty lame, but I do love my bike, and it's all paid for. So if I ever like go broke, they can take my truck, they can take my house, but they can't take my bike. Mister, so we probably could if it was small enough. I think I do a lot of eBay for liquidating like old stock and stuff like that. So I have shipped to Canada, but I've used like eBay's global shipping program. If I had to ship to Canada without using that, we'd have to charge you shipping. So if it was small stuff and the shipping wasn't exorbitant, it'd probably be pretty easy. But if it was like large stuff, the shipping costs could get pretty crazy, and that's where like HobbyTown.com comes into play at, because AMain runs that site, and they've got a better shipping program. So yes and no. If we had something that was really hard to get, and we had it in stock, I mean, absolutely, as long as you got a PayPal account, we'd definitely sell you whatever you needed. Okay, so this truck's almost fixed, kind of. Yeah, Hobbytown and AMain came to an agreement quite a number of years ago now. I think 2016 or 17. And AMain actually runs HobbyTown.com's e-commerce stuff, like all their website for online sales. And you can totally tell, because if you look at them, HobbyTown.com looks very similar to AMain.com, and it's all the same stuff and it's all the same prices. So, okay, we've got a shock. So we're going to put it back on here. And then I'm going to try to figure out what Emerson did with the lid to this thing. And then we'll move on. The one thing we don't have really is we don't have any sort of online presence that because we're a franchise and corporate has hobbytown.com. And the inventory is not always correct. So it's supposed to be linked to our inventory, but a lot of times part numbers are off by like a digit or a hyphen, something stupid like that. And so, the best thing to do is call or email. KKHTOM@AOL.com is the store email address. Okay. And look at that. The shocks actually work again. Hooray. Except I put this on backwards. Dumb. There we go. So normally on a Thursday night, I'd be working on something for racing this weekend, but I actually worked on my car on Monday and before our podcast, and took it to the track and tried it out. And I also ran a little bit on Tuesday just to make sure. And my car was working so good, I just kind of left it at work in my pit area waiting for this weekend. And then my crawlers are all good, so I don't have to work on them. So this was really the only thing left to work on, except for Boba Fett. I still haven't finished my my Bandai Boba Fett, but I will eventually. Let's see, are all 380 motors the same? I want to get a faster one for my crawler. Maybe. So Traxxas has one. They have a 380 size motor that was used in their a couple of their 1/16 scale cars before they were all used in the before they switched them all to the 12 turns. So we do have a 380 size Traxxas motor that's supposedly a 12 turn. So maybe. Other than that, most of the brush motors you're going to find, they're basically probably all made in the same factory. So there's not much variety out there until you go brushless for 380 size. So the one thing I noticed on my mountain biking video of myself is I was supposed to pull up when I hit this and then land, and when I pulled up, like nothing happened. So I got to remember to put my heels up and like throw my hips into it a little bit more too. I'm watching these videos and that's what they all do. My son's really good at it too. His video, it's on my personal channel. Gunter Loxes, it depends on how you pronounce it, but we put it up on my personal YouTube channel. It's got like 9 views, so it's a stellar video. I pretty much just like watching my son do stuff. Another crack bag, by the way. Thanks, Arrma. All right, I got to figure out what he did with this top. It's got to be here, right? Or not. Well, I suppose we could always so my son was working on this and he took the lid for the radio tray off, and now it's totally gone. So what I'm thinking is we don't necessarily need it. It's not like we're going to drive in the rain or anything like that. So I think I might just screw this speed controller directly down to it anyways, and go from there. I think that's what I'm going to do. There's not much going on in RC right now, is there? There's no real new crazy new items. The DR10 from Associated came out and now they're unavailable everywhere. You know what I heard? And I don't know if, I mean, I can't imagine I would get in some sort of trouble about this, although, whatever, doesn't matter. Somebody told me that a big RC company might end up getting purchased by a big toy company, and it blew my mind when I heard it, because I'm like, no way. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, maybe. I'm not going to tell you guys which one though, because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get sued. Or get like a cease and desist order. I'll let you guys figure that one out. But it could just be blowing smoke and just somebody talking out of their butt too. That happens a lot. It would be interesting though, if that was the case. It would change. It might change the entire dynamic of the RC world. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. There we go. All right. So the last thing I'm doing here is just putting these wires back into their little snug fitting here so they don't go all over the place. And now this one is all set to be bashed again. So it's got to tell you, Arrma, this thing has taken a huge beating. We've broken a front A-arm and replaced it with RPM. We have broken a front spindle and got that fixed, real simple. And now we did bend that shock, and I just fixed that. So 3 brakes, but some of the stuff that Emerson was doing when he was driving this were just kind of really stupid. He was jumping our house jump ramp and landing in the trampoline and then driving off the trampoline and onto our back porch. So a lot of dumb stuff. And the only reason why one of the spindles broke is he ran it into the trampoline itself, the metal trampoline. So, you know, whatever. I'll show you guys something that he did real quick. So he took one of his touring car bodies, and he's already messed with the lights again, but he had this thing mounted on here, kind of like, how did he have it? Oh, now I know why he took the speed controller off, so this thing could fit. But anyways, he had this on here, and he had this gigantic like Batmobile wing on the back of it. And eventually he just ran into enough stuff where it broke off. But I kind of forgot that we had this thing. And then I was looking underneath of it, and he's got, this was his touring car body. He's actually got some drivers in there. And I totally could have stole, if I would have remembered that we had this, I totally could have stole the drivers here and put them in my crawler and gotten that extra point for the passenger. Right now I just have a 1-seat. This is a 2-seat, but it's too late now because now he knows that it's down here. And if I did that, he'd be mad at me. So whatever. But I thought it was pretty cool. He got it to fit on the granite. But now I know why the speed controller had come off it, so he could fit this on there. So, all right, this one's done. This one is done. Oh my goodness. All right. So I have not how do you want your sway bars on a Traxxas / Ultimate? Are you talking about, do you want them to be able to wiggle back and forth, or do you want them to be tight? Because most of the time you want your sway bars to not necessarily be tight locked in, but basically you want the set screw that holds them in place. You want them to just barely hit that, so it's really hard to move that thing side to side. That's basically what we do in 8 scale. So it's It doesn't wiggle freely, but it is kind of like held in place by the set screw. But it should be able to maybe move a little bit. Yeah. Okay, I have not looked at this thing since we did the house jump video. That last part of the house jump video where I was like, oh yeah, it looks like all I broke was this and this. I've actually not looked at it. So I guessed today, or when I was at the store, on what parts to get. So we'll take a look here. So I know that I definitely broke off the screw back here, and I think it's crazy how much of a beating this thing actually took. Need a pair of pliers. Actually, vice grips will work awesome. Here's another thing. Here, it's always nice to have a handy little small vice grip, whether it's a needle nose type or even the regular vice grips. Always keep those things handy around in your toolbox, because you never know when you're going to need something to really hold on there without, you know, using your hands or whatever. And in this case, I probably didn't need them, but whatever, it's fine. So yeah, the actual shock mount is fine. I just broke the screw on the back side, so it's like a 20-cent screw, and the rear end will be fixed. So we'll take this out of here. It's weird how it broke. And what did I do with my, oh, there they are. I'm so unorganized. Probably the best way. Nope, that ain't gonna work. I might need a new shock mount anyways if I can't get this screw out of here, because it is bent. And so that's gonna be harder for it to come out. I might try it the other way and see. Oh yeah, that might work. Yeah, perfect. So it'll take longer, but it'll be easy to get it out of there. I'm going to struggle because I don't want it to break off, and I don't want it to strip or anything either. Nice. Should I put a spoiler on the back of a Traxxas Slash Ultimate for better traction on the track, and will it help me glide through the air? So what we used to do in what I used to do in Pro 4 was a couple things. So yes, if you want to put a spoiler on the back, it'll definitely help you jump. It'll definitely help you with a little bit of retraction, but also short course trucks, because they kind of sail when they jump, because all that, their body's just like a big kite. You also can, it's best to use a Dremel, and like a sanding tool and cut out some of the back. Just make air vent holes. Usually, I wonder if I got one here. I think I did. Hang on a second. So you can see here all those cut right there, and that's basically that's to prevent the truck from just sailing on you. You can see the front also has some vents too. That crazy, but at least something like these on the back really helped out a lot. And if you use a Dremel and a sanding bit, like the sanding barrel, the round sanding barrel, and you make your you kind of round off all the edges, it won't break as easy. If you take a curved scissors and do it, then you might end up with this a lot easier. But if you use a Dremel, yeah, that's what we used to do, or that's what I used to do when I was Pro 4, and a lot of guys did. This actually isn't even my body. It belonged to shoot. Can't remember his name now. It's so long ago. Feels like it was that long ago. Well, that sucks. There we go. Technically, putting a wing on the back of your short course truck is illegal if you were in a roar race. But since, say, like Family Friday Off-Road, we don't care. We just want you to show up. So it's not a big deal. There was talk about trying out putting on a like how the stadium trucks have a plastic spoiler on the back. There was a lot of pushback from that though, because it not necessarily scale was what the governing bodies were in a argument over. They were trying to keep short course as scale as possible to keep the interest up, because that was one of the reasons why it was so popular, was because, you know, they kind of look like real trucks. And at some point, everything in RC, except for crawling and monster trucks and drag racing, but even drag racers now have big spoilers on the back. So, you know, yeah, it's just one of those things. But it does make a difference, no doubt. I honestly, I think what I was trying to say when I was on the governing body was, when we were talking about spoilers for short course trucks, was if it was clear, I didn't have a problem with it. If it was painted, for some reason, it bothered me. Like, it's so stupid sometimes too. It should just be a yes or no, but I don't know. Plex doesn't carry Kyosho because we've been there and done that so far. So we can carry Kyosho. It just seems that locally the demand just wasn't there. We did carry the two-wheel drive cars and the stadium trucks and the short course trucks there for a little while. There was definitely a resurgence of Kyosho right around like maybe 2012 through about 2015 or so. The problem that we ran into was that a lot of the people that were running Kyosho at the track were sponsored by Kyosho, and so they never bought anything from us anyways. So we had all these parts on the wall, and nobody ever bought them unless it was a dire emergency. So we kind of just whittled it back down to Team Losi and Associated for the race cars. And you know, we've carried mini Z's here and there. The last time we ordered them, they sat on the shelf for 8 months. I had to get rid of them on eBay. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to carry Kyosho, but right now it just doesn't seem. The real answer is the demand just hasn't been there. Yeah, the Rampage looks freaking awesome. I agree. When I saw that thing come out, I'm like, dude, that thing's sick. But you're the first person that's brought it up that I can remember. We can order one. I'd love to order one. I think it'd be cool. Okay, we need a really long screw for this shock mount, and I have a box of really long screws. So that's too short. What about this one? That's way too short. That's too long. Okay. Yeah, do it. Yeah, come in tomorrow and I'll afternoon. I work after 11:30, so we'll look it up. Make sure they're in stock first. So I got to get into my treasure trove of screws here to find a screw this length. I don't normally use that long a screw. Probably like a 25 or so. Yeah, it's like a 26. Do you use body clips for RC cars or other stuff? I've tried to use magnets for some of my crawlers, but they don't. Even the strongest ones don't seem to hold that well. So they're really good for show. They're terrible for actual use. And then Proline has the little twisty things on their body extensions and body mounts, and those seem to be really popular. And yeah, mostly body clips. Actually, on my race stuff, I use Velcro. Most of the cars now have these sides. I was actually thinking about that for this truck, was to just put Velcro on the sides so I can just stick the body on instead of worrying about trying to find body clips. Yeah, drifting would be perfect use for magnets because, yeah, exactly, low impact. Absolutely. I had a set of this, we had some racing magnets, and they just, I tried them on crawling, and it just, when I had my Red Cat, my Gen 8, and I had a Toyota Hilux on it, and it was a good idea, but just didn't work in practice, so. Dude. I might not have a long enough screw. So I have all these accumulated bins of 3mm screws, and so far I'm striking out on what I need. That's lame. I suppose I could always get one that's too long, and then I can just cut it off. Didn't really want to do that, though. And let's see. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to have to do. Darn it. Ooh, what's this? Nope. All right, well, okay. Enough fiddle farting around with that. Man. Thought for sure I had one that was long enough. Oh, well. No big deal. We'll use this one anyways. At least I hope it's the right size. I think it is. Okay. My wife is upstairs watching Outlander on Netflix. That's her show now until she binges it fully. Make sure that I'm Why is this not? Oh, there we go. Dumb. Sometimes on this program, you just watch me struggle for like 30 minutes. Nate Will, was the B62 easy to build and anything to look out for? The B62 is extremely easy to build. Yeah, I had no issues at all. Nope, not one. It was a very clean, easy build. It's quick, easy. So. There's actually a piece missing here. How do you make a super slash? So, like a, what did I do? I mean, mine was two-wheel drive, so I called mine a super slash because basically, like, I had every part on it wasn't stock anymore. The Proline transmission, the RPM arms, carbon fiber front shock tower, STRC rear, aluminum shock tower. I had a wing and wing mount. I used an 8-scale body. I put a aluminum front bumper on it. We had the aluminum hubs, spindles, front carriers. Obviously, different wheels and tires. We had the rear aluminum drive shafts. So there really wasn't much stock left on the car. But basically what I made was a backslash, right? That's what we used to call them. God, when did the slash come out? 2008? So 10 years ago, when they were kind of converting them into 8-scale looking buggies. You can do the same thing with a slash 4x4. Get an LCG chassis, and you can fit most 8-scale bodies. You can make fit on that to look like basically an 8-scale and create a backslash or a super slash. I just called mine super because it had pretty much every single hop up that that they made on it, or that you could get for it, was gotten for it. That Proline transmission, I'm actually kind of like, I'm super surprised that nobody has come out with a one-piece machined top shaft for a Traxxas transmission. That is the weakest part of that transmission, is how that top shaft goes together, is that little gear that goes on the pin. And if somebody out there would just make a one-piece top shaft for that truck, they would sell a crap ton of them. The Proline one is machined, but it really only works inside of the Proline transmission. It doesn't quite fit. I tried to get it to fit in the stock tranny, and it didn't. So STRC makes a top shaft, but it's still a two-piece deal. So it's like, what's the point? So, and I have yet to find one. So if like Robinson Racing or even Proline or somebody like that made just a one-piece machined top shaft for a Traxxas car, we'd probably have a stack of them on a peg like this long, just bam, 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 because I would just sell those all day. Like Hot Racing. What if Hot Racing made one? We'd sell them like crazy. I wouldn't have even used a Proline transmission if there was an option. If there was an option for a one-piece top shaft out there, but I don't know. I got off on a tangent again. This thing is annoying. Okay, there we go. Finally getting it. Yay. All right. There we go. Aha! So I broke something on the front end too, and I'm gonna look at that here in a minute. But 3 times over the house, and then numerous like 70 and 80 foot jumps. And this was one of the only pieces that I broke, was a little stupid screw, a 3 by like 26 screw on this truck. So again, you know, I'm not like, I don't work for Arrma, and we sell a lot of Arrma stuff, but this truck definitely has taken a lot of abuse, and the electronics all still work. Again, a 20-cent screw in the back is all I broke. I'm going to look at the front here. I think it's just the arm mount, but even then, I mean, it's super easy to fix. When I might take a cutting wheel to this and just chop that off so I don't prick myself. But yeah, let's see what we got here. So I think what happened was the one thing I've noticed on the Outcast and the Creighton is that the front bumper basically holds in the hinge pins. And so if your front bumper starts to come off or it breaks, the hinge pins back out, and then that's why you get this arm movement. So I think that's all we did, but I'll find out here in a second. And if it is, this would be the second bumper we've broken on this truck. That one video where I shot right through the jump, nothing broke. But the jump before that, we broke a bumper. I had to go to Hobbytown real quick and get it. So, whoops. So, okay. So yeah, so you can see the stock Outcast bumper does that. And you can see the hinge pins basically hit these two bumps here, and that's how the whole thing is held in. So I think all that happened, I don't think it's actually broke. Well, that's broke, but pretty sure what happened was that piece broke, came out, and then the hinge pins came out with it. So we're gonna use the RPM bumper, which has way more material and is way stiffer, and seems to do a good job on Cameron's Outcast. So we'll see what happens here. I'm going to take the front brace off just to check it out. It's got a little bit of shoe goo in it because this is where I put the weight. So I'm going to have to get that out of there. Oop, wrong way. Nope, stop that. Screws are kind of bent. Did take a bunch of hard hits, so. All right. If the hinge pin's bent, then I definitely am gonna have to, oh, no, there we go. Yep. Dude, that's all that happened. So once again, this thing is a beast. I'm going to replace these screws. This is impressive. I'm telling you, I mean, for all the abuse we put this thing through for 3 straight Mondays. So we tried to do it. Well, we built the jump and stuff and broke it initially. Emerson broke it, not me, on the first Monday. And then the second Monday came around. That's when we actually took and tried to jump it, and we crashed through the bridge, or not the bridge, crashed through the jump after doing about 65, 70 feet a couple times. And then that last one, I had that video up of showing consecutive jumps. Those are all, they're not the same angle or the same jump done, from different angles. Those are all individual jumps. So with that in mind, I mean, this thing, all we did was break a bumper. So it's pretty dang tough. All right, so I'm going to read. Yeah, so they give you new screws in this one. That's kind of what I thought. So one reason why I love RPM is because they still include instructions on what you're supposed to do, even though a lot of us don't read them. It's packaged by OH. Okay, so this is the RPM Creighton, officially Creighton bumper, but an Outcast and a Creighton, basically same front end, same rear end. So we're gonna stick it on there. I was gonna put this on initially, and one of the reasons why I didn't was because I thought that the bumper, if it stuck out too far, would affect how the truck jumped. But now that we've completed the house jump, I guess I don't really care. Why is this not going in there? Come on. So you got to press these bolts in here. And my fingers suck. Got to use the right. There we go. MIP to the rescue. MIP's got that extra little nugget right there. See? Look at that. That works out great for fitting that in there. Okay. And then that goes like that. Put the right bit on. So my next idea for this thing is to jump onto the HobbyPlex roof, and it's really high. So I'm gonna have to manage to build another jump. This time with a lot steeper of an angle, kind of like a high jump, and see if I can land on the HobbyPlex roof. And then what I want to do is I want to jump it off the roof, and in front of our parking lot is that triangle grass pad. So I want to jump it off the roof and actually land in the grass pad. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's my idea. It's going to have to wait until the track build is over. Because that is coming down the pike here. So, all right. So that goes like that. And now they have newer, longer screws to replace the short screws. Yeah, no kidding. So I do have my 350QX with, and we've got a GoPro. So I could totally get some good footage. I think that'd be sick. But that's why I want to do it. Just think of all the cool stuff we can do with this truck. Oh, come on. So, funny story. I kind of knew that I kind of knew that drones were kind of going out of favor when I took my 350QX to a pawn shop and tried to sell it, and they wouldn't take it because it was a drone. I'm like, okay, that's how you know the market's tanked, when pawn shops won't take anything. But I'm actually really glad I didn't sell it, because it still works great, and Emerson's got a GoPro now, so yeah. Okay, now wait a second here. Now why? Oh, I still need that. That's weak. I'm sad. All right, well, that'll end tonight's show, because you still need this piece, and I don't have one, so I'll have to get it tomorrow when I go to work. But basically, that's what it's going to look like when it's all done. It still needs a piece to hold in the hinge pins, which I don't have. I was afraid that I would would not have everything I needed, and I don't. So there you go. So wah wah. I thought this had a piece on it to hold in the hinge pins, but oh well. So once again, friendly reminder that I am not an engineer and I don't always remember stuff. So there you go. That's all that broke on the Outcast for the house jump. That's pretty crazy that through all that, that's all we did. So yeah. Yeah, you're more than welcome to friend me on Facebook. It's just it's Alex Sturgeon. Pretty easy to find. I pretty much have stuff public, so I think that's how I tried to get hacked the other day. So yeah, that's what we got, and I'm tired. I got to go back to work tomorrow, and we got a bunch of stuff in. I tagged most of it today. Got to put it all out by tomorrow so that we're able to sell stuff this weekend. And yep. So I'm gonna call it. That's gonna do it for tonight, and might be able to make a video on the off-road track tomorrow. If not, I'll certainly get some footage of racing on Saturday, and then podcast Monday at 6:30. Monday at 6:30, somewhere around there is when we usually go live. So make sure you guys tune in for that, and thanks for watching. And I will see you guys either at the store or here on Facebook or YouTube sometime. You can tell I'm tired. I'm ready for bed. So, bye.